In this video, I'm going to discuss why the assisted living rates have increased and what the issues are. So if you're interested, make sure to stick around. What's going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Serge. Welcome to the channel. To all my recurring viewers, thank you so much for all the love and support that each and every single one of you have shown me. I greatly appreciate it. If you have not yet, feel free to check out the God Made podcast on all streaming platforms. Feel free to check out Legion Assisted Living Academy and Legion Assisted Living Advisors in the links down below. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this video. Now, assisted living rates have actually increased quite a bit, especially when you compare it from 2018 to 2019, that increase of 1.15% compared to what the increase was from 2019 to 2020, which was actually a 6.15% increase in assisted living rates. And the reason being why these increases are happening. Well, what's happened was because of COVID, there's actually a shortage in labor. And now with the new presidency coming in and them trying to push higher wages, right? Trying to push that minimum wage to $15, that's actually going to cause these increased rates to continue to go up. And because of that, there's going to not only be that increase in rates in assisted living facilities, but it's just going to continue being harder to find those skilled workers that need to be in these facilities to actually help. So for caregivers, for people who are struggling in this industry with caregivers, I think what's going to happen is that caregivers are going to be harder to find due to the competitive nature of these big box facilities being able to actually support that payroll of $15 minimum wage compared to these smaller facilities who may or may not be able to actually support that $15 minimum wage if and when that actually passes. It's kind of hard to say right now, but because of that, a lot of facilities are starting to actually have to increase their rates, especially these big box facilities that do have a bigger payroll than these smaller facilities, these residential facilities. So what's going to happen there? Because they're going to have to increase their rates quite a bit, these families are going to have to face this decision of waiting to place in these bigger facilities. And if the need is there and they need to actually place their loved one, they may end up actually going to these smaller facilities who may be charging less due to the fact that they don't have as much payroll as these bigger facilities. So that is actually the good news for these smaller residential assisted living facilities who ultimately will be able to take care of these residents who will need to be placed somewhere eventually. These families will need to place their loved ones somewhere due to the fact that they're not going to be able to take care of them. With these increased rates, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And the average rate currently right now for a private room in an assisted living across the board is $4,300 now. It used to be $3,800 and now it's actually gone up to $4,300. And because of that, these nursing facilities, these skilled nursing facilities, it costs six figures to actually be in their facilities at this point on a yearly basis. It's just over six figures. So a lot of families are having to come to the decision of what they're going to eventually do if they're going to continue putting their loved ones in these big box facilities. And these big box facilities really have no choice due to the fact that they have so much overhead costs that require them to actually have to increase these rates, where a lot of these smaller facilities, like I mentioned, will not have to. They might have to increase, but probably not by the percentage that these big facilities have to increase their current rates. So what do I see from all this? Well, depending on what happens moving forward, it's all of this is kind of hard to say exactly what's going to happen because the vaccine has finally been introduced and a lot of people have been vaccinated. And a lot of people are willing to actually go back to work and get back into the economy and start getting everything back to hopefully what it once was, but it probably won't ever go back to how things were. But regardless, with these vaccinations, and not only that, but residents getting vaccinated and families feeling a lot more comfortable placing their loved ones in these facilities who have not only negative COVID residents, but also have residents who have been vaccinated. Therefore, they're not going to be able to transmit it nearly as quickly and nearly as fast to their loved one. And so with that, I think things will eventually go back to how they once were in these nursing facilities and also in assisted living facilities. For instance, I've had residents here get vaccinated this past week, and so far, all the families are happy with the fact that they were able to get vaccinated and that they don't necessarily need to worry about every single person that comes in nearly as much. And because of that, they're more than willing to actually, come to the home and be able to visit, and they're still wearing their masks, and that's still good. But regardless, though, you can start sensing that trust within the community again. Ultimately, though, because of the skilled labor, it's going to cause a lot of operators to have to make some innovations within their business. They're going to have to do things along the lines of telehealth and telemedicine, which I'm not very fond of. It's not something that I think really gives a good picture of someone's health through these telehealth and telemedicine. I think when you see someone in person compared to talking to them on the phone or on FaceTime, you can really tell the difference, and a lot of people can make things up, especially over the phone or through video calls. And I'm not really fond of that, but I think with time, that will be integrated even more and more, and I believe technology will ultimately be implemented a lot more in healthcare in general, and especially with assisted living facilities. I can definitely see how AI will be implemented more and more, and I think something that will help actually give better data on the health of each resident over time will be very beneficial and be something that a lot of people should start looking into and keep in the back of their mind when they're starting their residential assisted living, is to start implementing these technologies within their facilities and making sure that they can do everything to get that data to really protect their residents and really do the best work that they can possibly do, especially once you start scaling up with multiple residential assisted livings. And so also with AI and these telehealth and telemedicines, it's actually going to really help, especially if margins start slimming down, profit margins for assisted livings and for operators. Once those start slimming down, they'll probably have to implement these things to really be more to catch up with that cost that is starting to increase with overall healthcare. And so with that being said, though, I think overall it's still a really good industry to get into, and it's definitely something to keep in the back of your mind. If you guys haven't increased any of your rates lately or even increased them at all, I would suggest that you start doing that, because once the minimum wage thing kicks in, if it does, you'll be prepared as far as that goes. And so you want to kind of stay on top of that and let your families know, hey, this is the situation that we're in. I'm going to have to increase the rates. This is what it is. And usually on a year-to-year basis, you increase it by 3%. So you should be doing that regardless in your facilities. If you haven't increased your rates, you should definitely look into doing that and having those discussions with your family members for your residents. So with that being said, thank you so much for all the love and support that each and every single one of you have shown me. Go ahead, hit that like button for me, smash that subscribe button if you haven't. Feel free to go watch all these other videos up here. And again, thank you so much for all the love and support that each and every one of you have shown me. God bless, and I'll see you all in the next video.